Thursday, February 6th. Let's see, we're going to do a whole bunch of mythology. We get a little bit of Brovicast, not the good Brovicast yet. That's still coming, but I have a little bit for you. iPad, you'll need tomorrow. We are going to do a discussion-y thing, and I have a slightly different idea we're going to go along with it. iPad will come in handy. Over the weekend, Honor Society, we're going to talk more about that here in a moment. And Camp Friends comes due, and our kid working on IXL. Hi, Amelia.
You spelled yesterday right.
I know. It's an unusual Arabic word I tried to work in. IXL, we have our kid working. Oh, for the rest of you, if you have not done the notes yet for the grammar, you may want to. Again, we have our next quiz Wednesday. I am planning on making it a little bit tougher, as I'm going to keep trying to increase the difficulty each time. There will be another IXL connected to it, but again, you get to make your own big kid choices. I just get to keep trying to help you. You ignore me as needed. Honor Society-wise, I am getting ready to ask you here in a moment two things. One, are you planning on turning this in tomorrow or waiting until Monday? You do not need the rec letters to turn it in. I just need your part, where you fill out the application and then you write your essays. That's all I'm looking for. The rec letters you can bring in next week and I can just attach later. That's fine. What I care about is the part you're in control of. So if you can get that done tonight and bring it in tomorrow, I add you to my I brag about kids list. If you wait till Monday, that's still fine. I just don't get to add you to my braggy list.
I want to be on the bragging list.
Says the kid talking over me again. Just getting rid of those points. And then the other thing, I'm going to ask you how many of your essays you have completed. It should be a number between 0 and all of them. And then we'll sort of see as we go from there. And home children, I'm not going to make you listen to this boring part so we can jump to the fun stuff in just a moment. Pop, pop. All right. Interesting question.
Welcome back.
And then back to here. Let's see, finish out with you guys. Our mythology. We finished this with you guys. We're good to go there. And we have, so if you are a home child, 1, stop being dead. 2, we have now finished this. We are moving on to Blue Sheet, where we're going to start doing more learning bits. For you guys, we already started the Blue Sheet yesterday, so you're a little bit ahead. But we're going to go ahead and slow it down a little bit for the off chance some home children may not be as wise and wisdomy as you guys. There's a chance. So here with our 10 words, we're going to figure out what Greek and or Roman god they come from. This is where your white sheet will come in handy if you have the one that has the listing of all the gods, especially the Roman gods. That'll definitely help you on there too.
Zeus.
And for our first one, jovial, you said it comes from who?
Zeus.
What is his Roman name?
Joe.
And so our first one, jovial, is going to come from Zeus. And here's where home children, this is going to be a little bit rough because I'm going to ready to point to posters and you're not going to be able to see the posters unless you use the mythology page. But anyway, for you guys, again, Zeus is the one over here who looks like he's part mermaid because it's just a really weird picture. Over here, he's the one holding on to the lightning right above this Bella kid. And then he's also right behind Billy's head where he's holding on to lightning again. Zeus is probably the best well-known of all of the Greek gods. If you know anything about mythology, you've probably heard Zeus's name or something about him. He was the king of all the gods, the leader of all the gods, the top dog, all of those things. And we get the word jovial from him, which is ironic. Did we get to what jovial means yesterday?
Happy. And Zeus is not happy.
And he is not. Quite the ironic bit is that Zeus is going to spend most of his time in our stories being angry, trying to kill people, trying to torture people, or trying to make new friends that are not his wife. Because apparently Zeus also invented Riz and Aura. And so because of that, he was trying to spread that to as many people as he could. So we get the word jovial because if you saw someone who was really happy and looked like things were going their way, you would think that they were like Zeus, who you would think was happy. And so if we see a kid smiling all the time, we're like, oh, you must be just like Zeus. How jovial of you. Hence our word jovial. Benta?
Does he like lightning?
No, he's never heard of it before. Hi, Henry.
Did you know if you replace J with BR and L with K, it's you?
So what we're going to find out is that you also make the choice and not have me call on you like the previous 2 kids. But I have faith in you, Joshua. Josh!
Is that why Jolly starts with J-O?
No. Haven't watched.
Enjoy.
Solid try to connection. Enjoy it yet. No, that's. You tried to think your way through on that one. No, there's no connection on that one. Now let's go down to
A in it.
cereal. I'm assuming this is because you know the God and not just because you're super excited about cereal.
Demeter.
Aww.
Kids nowadays, who would have thought she was trying to be an honor society kid? Robbing someone else of joy. I just watched Jude die on the inside. Poor partially did.
Thunder.
Hi Jude, who would you say is connected to? Oh, see, her sadness is overwhelming.
It's okay.
You are correct.
Forgive and forget.
Jude, but what is her Roman name?
Her Roman name is Ceres.
C-E-R-E-S, Ceres. Demeter is the one over here who, one, looks like she is hugging grain and throwing a really weird gang sign. I think she's trying to throw a W for wheat. She's like, wheat sign! But that's just my way of looking into it. Over here, she was the one right above the kid who keeps spinning her points. This is her sitting on a throne of wheat. She's not throwing gang signs there. And then over here behind Billy, she's in this spot, and she's not throwing a gang sign. She's trying to pick a fight with Hades, which is a story that we're going to get into. And yes, her Roman name, C-E-R-E-S, Ceres, is where we get the word cereal from. Point spender, what was Demeter the god of?
Cereal.
I know.
Agriculture.
So she was the god of wheat, grains, growing stuff. She was sort of their version of Mother Nature. She was in control of all of the things that would grow. She was also in charge of like spring coming. She eventually becomes in charge of winter coming because she got really grumpy and sad. You know, women. And so that's where all our issues come in. Sorry. There. Just seeing if you're going to let me get away with that one. Apparently not. Good job. And so cereal, by definition, is food that comes from?
Wheat.
So cereal is food that comes from grain, wheats, and stuff like that. Here's the problem. The food you guys eat today that you call cereal doesn't actually come from wheat and grain. Most of your food comes from sugar. Although sometimes you have sugar-covered sugar, and every once in a while your parents spoil you and give you chocolate-covered sugar-covered sugar. And you're like, oh, my parents love me so much, I can feel my teeth falling out now. Back during dinosaur times, when I was a child, we had actual cereal, and it was not a pleasant experience. There is a chance you have seen the new version of what I grew up with. Have you seen? So, now here's the thing. This is the new version that you guys see called Frosted Mini Wheats. This is not how it started off. I'm going to show you how it started off. Do you know what this white stuff is on there?
Sugar.
Yes, it is. That is sugar just baked right into it. And do you see how it has a happy little cartoon character waving to children saying, come eat the sugar? Let me show you what it used to be like when I was a wee child. This is what I had back as a kid.
Y'all just put that one big thing in the milk?
Yeah. If you've ever driven by a farm when they have those big hay bales that are sitting out,
Sad burrito.
that's what it looked like. Now, this is the same thing as these. These are just broken up small ones with sugar on it. Back in the day, when you would go over to your grandparents' house, or if your parents just didn't love you, and you asked for cereal, they would go, here's your cereal, and they would just go ka-dunk, and a log would pop out into your bowl, and then you would have a little bit of milk. The problem is, it tasted pretty much exactly like it looks, which was not tasty at all. So then you would start putting sugar on it to try to make it better, but it turns out there was no amount of sugar that would make it better. It just became weird tasting. By the way, do you see this large box here? Do you see what it says at the top? One large biscuit. So again, it wasn't like there was a whole bunch of them in there with like little dancing ones waving you on. There was just one brick that would fall out that you got to eat. This is cereal.
That is not cereal.
That's delicious. That's not cereal at all. So things have changed a wee bit.
Y'all just like dip it
Hi, Caleb.
Is that 3/4 ounces or 3 or 4 ounces?
I think that's 3/4 of an ounce. I don't think they were just confused. I think math says 21 grams equals 0.75 ounces, but I don't teach math. They could be confused. Hi, Amelia.
So in the box with the thing in it, it's just like one in the whole box.
You have to buy.
Uh-huh.
You have to buy like.
It tastes good. It's not serious. That's kind of stupid.
You have to buy 3.
Pretty much.
But you eat
Yep.
them with honey.
Every time that you bite into it and you make the sound, it's not cereal. As soon as that sound comes out, you're done. Moving on from the joy of cereal. Oh, don't you regret that choice you made earlier? Volcano! Now, on this one, in theory, no, we didn't. It does come from the same word that I showed you guys earlier. Eden?
It comes from vulcanized, and the Greek god is Hephaestus.
I believe that kid just had a stroke. You are correct. So, as we struggle with this, do you need to go use the restroom?
No.
Okay, just checking. Do you guys know what this thing is?
It's a phone.
It's a phone. What are the first 2 letters of that? And so you do know how to make that sound. A PH makes an F sound. So when we see these 2 letters next to each other, it is spelled Hephaestus.
I'm sorry, please.
Again, going back in time and slapping your old self isn't learning fun. So again, when you see these letters, it's not Hephaestus. Just like you don't go, hand me my pahony. You can actually put the letters together. And sometimes his name is actually spelled just with an F. I've seen it spelled H-E-F, and then sometimes a U-S, but just Hephaestus. Not hepatitis, which I also hear. Hepatitis is what you're going to study in wellness class when you get to diseases, and that's what happens when you don't wash your hands after going potty and then behind the food. Not good.
Helicopters.
So, Hephaestus, dude up there, home children, you can see him. He's the one that's going to be right over there. A couple things with him. He was the god of fire, and he was the one that was the blacksmith for the gods. He also made all the armor for the gods. But this thing in his arm right there was a cane or a crutch. He was the only god to be crippled. Also, over here above Elena, this is him. It's hard to see this one, but he has that little crutch in his arm there. Behind Billy, he's the one that's, Billy just moved his head in front of it. He's the one right here, no crutch, but he's sitting down. He had a bad leg. We're going to get to it. It's because his parents threw him off a mountain when he was a baby. It's okay. They had a good reason. He was ugly, and they wanted to get rid of him. They said, we don't do with ugly babies, and they went kaput. And so he was considered the ugly god and the crippled god, which is quite the twofer to have. This thing in front of him that you see there, and that you see there, and that you see there, if you have either watched your cartoons or played Minecraft, you should know what this is. It is. So this is what he was always using. Now, the problem with him being crippled and ugly is the other gods were bullies and jerks. They would often make fun of him. So Hephaestus decided, even though he was an Olympian, and he technically lived on Mount Olympus, he decided that he would spend all of his time in his workshop. And he made his workshop inside of a mountain. So the way it would work is that Hephaestus would go and find a mountain, and he would work inside of this mountain, and while he was working in there, it would build up all the fire and steam and heat as he worked, and then eventually this fire, steam, and heat would build up so much, it would shoot out through the top. So anytime humans saw a mountain that would explode through the top, they knew that Hephaestus was working inside of it. That's the only reason mountains exploded. Once a mountain exploded, he would then move to a new workshop. So they started naming these mountains they saw that exploded the home of Vulcan. And eventually shortening it from home of Vulcan to
Volcano.
that's where you get volcano, because they thought he was living inside of there.
Volleyball.
So that's where you get Hephaestus connected to volcano. Benta, don't you regret that earlier question you asked? Elena?
I want to answer the next one.
Ooh, you didn't want to try and steal it from poor Jude? All right.
Yeah.
Mercurial comes from
Hermes.
Hermes. What's his Roman name?
Mercury.
Nicely done. So Hermes, also known in his Roman name Mercury, he is, ooh, Billy's in a good spot again, right above Billy. He's this guy up here, who, those of you who follow football, looks like he's trying to do a little Heisman Trophy pose, like he just won it, and he's like, ha-ha. He's also the one right behind Billy's head, who's in this spot right here running, and then creepily he's above Caleb, where he ran so fast his shirt fell off. It happens sometimes when you're speedy. And so that would be Hermes. He was the fastest god. He ran super quick. He was also the god to have ADHD, which we're going to get to when we get to his story. It is like legit part of his origin story was him having ADHD as a kid. Because he was super fast and had trouble focusing, Zeus gave him a job. And it was like, we're going to help you burn off this energy. And he became the messenger for the gods, where he would just run and deliver things from one person to the next, with him being all speed. Mercurial, because it comes from the speedy god, is a word that means to change quickly. It can refer to like a science experiment. If you were to put like a Minto into Diet Coke, that is a mercurial reaction, where all of a sudden it just goes and goes all over the place. If you follow sports, running backs are often referred to as mercurial because you want to be able to cut left and right. Basketball players are mercurial because that's why you break ankles. So it means to able to change quickly. You may know people who are mercurial. Nowadays, you'd probably call them bipolar, even though that's not accurate. But if you know someone who goes from like really happy to really angry, if you have that friend that's like, I love you, we should hang out. And the next class, we're like, I hate you, die in a hole. And the next class, we're like, why aren't you hanging out with me? And you're like, oh my God, Chuck. That would be mercurial. Good job. That would be, I know, Demeter's bipolar. She's not really the bipolar one. That's
Henry.
I found, as I was reading a newspaper article talking about IU's basketball team, I was all excited because they actually put the word mercurial in there. And I was like, learning! And so apparently it actually popped up in a thing. Before I continue ignoring Binta, the thing you're going to see in Hermes' hand, if you look up here, this stick he's carrying, stick he's carrying, stick he's carrying, to focus in on it, looks like this. It's called the caduceus staff. It stick with two snakes going around it and two little wings on it. You will see it today. Amelia, where do you see it today?
In the medical places.
This is still used today in the medical profession. So you will oftentimes see this version of it where it's connected to nursing and doctors. There is another version of it, which is just a single stick and one snake wrapped around it. You've seen this one too. Anytime on the back. This is called the caduceus staff. Hermes stole it from another god because he was a god of thieves. It was one of the things he did. But it allowed him to heal anybody. He could bring you back from the dead. He could heal any wound with it. Zeus, as one of Hermes' many jobs, ends up having him be the one that delivers dead souls to the underworld. The Greeks believed that if Noah were just to fall over dead, his little ghost would pop up above him. Hermes' job was to go by, grab the little Noah ghost, and then take it down to the underworld and deliver him. Sometimes, though, either Hermes was busy or he didn't feel it was Noah's time. He would take his little caduceus staff and he would go over to Noah and go, it's not your time. And then Noah would come back to life and make, and become everything good. So then when doctors wanted people to know that if you came to them, they could heal you, they started carving this symbol onto the outside of their house. So if you saw this symbol, it meant that they were connected to Hermes and could bring you back to life. So it became connected to doctors. And so that's where the little symbol comes in on that one. Binta!
Mercurial is a soccer cleat.
Yes, it is. You are correct. Because it connects to that one also. I had a kid bring that up last year. Because the idea is that you can cut directions really quickly back and forth. Oh, I know you want to get the next one. Just hang on a second. I see your twinkle eye. With Hermes, he is also the god of a couple other things. He was the god of thieves, because if you steal things, you want to be able to get away with it quickly. He was also the god of travelers, because if you were going from one location to another, you wanted to make sure you could do it really quickly so you didn't get caught up in things. You'll have to wait till next week. Tomorrow, we're going to have a discussion. Bring an iPad. We'll see you later.